Happy Monday morning, everyone. Psychic medium Josh Simons coming to you this morning with a Monday message. And again, I do these on Sunday so I can upload them and get them out to the world on Monday. So I'm at the end of my day on Sunday and at the end of a week of doing readings for folks. As I do readings and as I channel information from spirit to the folks that I'm sitting with, I find that I often benefit from the information and the lessons and the wisdom that are passed through to me as the person that's hearing it and the person that information's for. An example of that happened this week with me when I sat with a woman and her helping spirits, her beloved dead, her ancestors, were very adamant about her not beating herself up. And this seems to be a common theme for folks, right? Beating themselves up for all sorts of different things. They're too much of this, they're not enough of that, they could have done this, they should have done this, the could-haves, would-haves that haunt us. As I was relaying this information to this woman, I was told that she should not beat herself up because life didn't go the way she wanted it to, but life went the way that was kind of supposed to. And I'm not talking about fate or destiny, because I do believe that there are things in our life that are fated and things that are kind of written into the tapestry of our destiny. I don't believe everything happens for a reason. I don't believe the fact that we chose pizza over pasta at the grocery store had anything to do with our fate. Now, if you love pizza, you might disagree with me. But the mundane parts of our life are kind of just part of that engine of reality. Now, the image that this woman's spirits were showing me was her on a boat in a river. If you are somebody that has ever beat yourself up for a life that didn't end up where you thought it should, I can't speak from personal experience because I kind of just went through life going, well, it's going to take me where it takes me. And in my younger years, I didn't have much in the way of goals or aspirations. Her spirits showed me her in a river on a boat. And they explained it to me in this way. Imagine being, in a river, steering your boat. And try as you might, steer as you might, you're wanting to go in this direction, but there's a current under that boat, carrying that boat and pushing it and pulling it to where the current brings it. This is an important analogy or metaphor because as much as we might have the ability to steer our ships and steer our boat, there are currents carrying us that we can't control. And when those currents carry us to places that we weren't planning on, and perhaps they weren't our dream, our goal, our ideals, we can't beat ourselves up for being swept away by that current. And this is very important for anybody. After I told this information to this woman, and she sighed a huge sigh of relief over this. What had happened was she went to college for a couple of years, got pregnant, left college, started a family. And before that, she was very excited about going to school, getting a degree, having a career. I reminded her that just because she has a family, just because that happened to her, that her current took her in that direction, that she shouldn't beat herself up in relation to that. Because sometimes those currents carry us in ways that we weren't planning on. So this message is for folks out there that would have that regret, if you will. That I should have done this, I could have done that, I should have went here, my life should have happened like this. Because sometimes those currents carry us in ways that we're not familiar with or we're not ready for, right? And that's not our fault. This would be like business owners who have to close their business because of COVID, beating themselves up because COVID happened. They can't control that. That's a current that took them to a place that they weren't planning. And I think that a lot of folks can relate to this. If this is your story, if you are on a boat in a river and you're being swept away by currents that you have no control over. Don't beat yourself up. Navigate the future as best you can. Look down the river if you can. Look down that river of life and see, how you can best respond or correct course if that's even possible. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is. And that's up to you. So that's the message that I want to bring to everybody this week, because I think it just seems like that message kept popping up and again and again and again all throughout my readings this week. And I want folks to not beat themselves up over things they can't control. And this kind of goes into that Disney princess syndrome that I think a lot of folks have, me, other folks have, because when we grow up and we watch those Sleeping Beauties, Snow Whites, Cinderellas, and we get told, even holding on to those beliefs subconsciously, we get told that, life should have happened like this. Your prince or princess charming, your happily ever after will happen if you're a good person. Sometimes Prince or Princess Charming doesn't happen for us, and sometimes, those happily ever afters, they don't happen, or, they take a while for them to appear in our lives. And yet, a lot of folks have this subconscious thing about, well, I was told by society, by fairy tales, by this, that if I do good and if I do all the right things and act all the right ways, the world, destiny, fate, God, what have you, should provide. And that's not always the case, right? So this is actively co-creating our life as best we can, but understanding that, fairy tales don't always happen. And there are currents below us carrying us to places that we really can't control sometimes. So, be kind to yourself. That's what this message is about. Be kind to yourself. Understand the expectations that you were given by life, by culture, by mythology, by fairy tales, right? And just be kind to yourself. This is so important, us being kind to ourselves. I use that example of the one-way mirror that our spirits are on the other side of. We're on this side, of the suspects. We're kind of oblivious to what's going on the other side. They are, our spirits are on the side of the police in that example, where they can look through the mirror, they can see and feel and know us. If we are suffering, if we are choosing to suffer, if we are in a place of turmoil or out of balance, so are our spirits. If we're suffering, they're suffering. If we're living in peace, they're resting in peace. And this is really important. And this is a win-win, because if you are walking through life, being kind to yourself, being gentle with yourself, loving yourself, and you're striving for a place of balance and peace, you give the same to your spirits. If you have spirits, beloved dead ancestors, what have you, that are on the other side of that mirror that you love, and you believe they carry on, and you believe they can see you in this moment, understand that if you suffer, they suffer. So you should always be focused on that path of peace, right? On that path of balance, always getting to a place where you're not suffering, whether you can minimize the suffering that's happening to you, or you can cease the suffering that you hold on to as a badge of courage. So that's my message, and it seems to pop up over and over again for a lot of folks. Now, with that being said, that's my wisdom, the wisdom that was passed on to me by Spirit this week. I want to share a little bit of tarot today. I thought I was going to pull just a card to share, but something wants me to share 3 cards. And this is how I do it. I use runes, I use tarot, I use oracle cards, but today we're going to talk about tarot. And I'm going to shuffle 3 times with the intention of just asking tarot for the wisdom that we can all benefit from over the course of this upcoming week. And as I fan the cards out in front of me, I just go to the first 3 cards that my eyes are drawn to. Okay. First card. This is the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands I refer to as the King of the Hill card. This is a person who is on top of the hill, and they're kind of fighting, right? They're fighting against these other wands or staffs that are coming against them. Now, this person on top of that hill, they have fought to maintain that position, just like King of the Hill when we were kids. This card talks about, you fought, you have battled, you have won against all of these influences and variables. So this is the King of the Hill. This is a card where, this person right here doing the best they can, these are influences or variables that they have no control over, right? And because consider these the currents under that boat, this person right here, as much as they're struggling, as much as they're fighting, they're not beating themselves up over the appearance of these variables. So that's something to hold on to, right? This is a card of struggle, but a card of beating that struggle, of overcoming that struggle. The Three of Wands. So we have another Wands card. And this card has a lot of different meanings for a lot of different folks. And as you build a relationship with tarot or any other divination tool, it's always important that you have a working relationship, that these symbols come to mean something to you. So as I'm looking at this card, right, this Three of Wands, this person is looking at these ships in the distance. And those ships are their ships. These are merchant ships. This person has some sort of industry. They've created something, and now they're watching their fruits of their labor appear. And that's an important thing. But my relationship to this card talks about how this person, they can see the ships, but I get the impression that this person is so far in the distance that the ships, the people on the ships, can't see them up on this cliff. This also lends to the idea that we are seen and watched by spirits and beings, ancestors, beloved, dead, what have you, that we really can't see. So this is a good example of that mirror, right? That, this person is watching the ships, but the ships can't see this person. Just like your ancestors watch you, your beloved dead, your helping spirits watch you, you really can't see them. So that's what this card talks about. And finally, the Queen of Pentacles. So pentacles in tarot mean earth. They mean home. They mean resources like money, right? The creature comforts of this world. And this is a woman who is focused, right, on the products of the world, on what she is capable of. And I love the idea of the queens in tarot, because the queens, for the four different suits of swords, pentacles, wands, cups, generally speaking, these are women that are at peace, right? So she's focused on the prize, right? Her eyes are on the prize in this card. But this is a woman that's at peace and at balance, right? She's not beating herself up because other things are happening in her kingdom she has no control over, right? So she's at peace, she's at balance. So these queens in tarot are very much a symbol of that balance. No matter what suit or element that they correspond to. I also associate this card with my mom being one of the hardest working women that I know, and a woman, as far as I can tell, who's at peace with herself, at peace in her world, in her life. So that's the lesson. Understand that life does have struggle woven into the very fabric of it. And those struggles, they're not, generally speaking, they're not the things that we've asked for, or they're not bad karma coming back to haunt us. Not anything like that. Sometimes we just struggle. And then sometimes we have spirits at our back that we don't even see and we're not aware of. And all they want for us is to be this. All they want for us is to have peace, to be at balance, to know ourselves, to love ourselves, to minimize the amount of struggle and pain and turmoil as best we can. So this week, try to identify those places in your life where you can make a difference, and then do what you can to minimize those variables, how they come into your life. That's really important. Really, really important. Remember, if you're struggling, they're struggling. If you're suffering, they're suffering. If you want your loved ones on the other side of that mirror to rest in peace, you live in peace. It's a win-win. So, thank you. It's been a great week for those that I've sat with. This work truly wears me out. As you can see, I think I look a little tired here. So, anyways, thank you for this. Thank you for hanging out with me on this journey. And thank you for spending the time and being receptive to the messages that I'm called to share every week. So, again, thank you. Have a wonderful week. Be kind to yourself. And if you can, love yourself.